Welcome. This is Leading with Spirit, the show that gives you an in-depth look at topics like what it takes to navigate your spiritual journey, how to heal yourself and grow your spiritual gifts, and balanced practices to expand your business and your spiritual leadership. I'm your host, Spirit Bird, shamanic teacher, healer, and author, here to guide you on your journey to becoming your most potent spiritual leader. What does freedom and wealth mean to you? Would you like to have more of it? Most people think freedom is all of the time and all of the money for anything you could ever want. And while I won't say that that's untrue, for most people, we still won't be truly happy unless we have a healthy community, unless we have something that motivates us or engages us, or where we're able to apply or use our energy and brilliance. And I know when we all think of it, at least the first thing we think of is like, nope, not me. I would be perfectly happy with all the money and all the time just hanging out on the beach all day long. And while that's tempting, while that is something that you can definitely call in, again, when it comes down to it, for most of us, we're not able to manifest that life because it's truly not what we really want. And it's truly not what would make us happy. Today, I want to take a look at what is wealth, what is freedom, and walk you through some processes to help shift from the scarcity mindset to the wealth consciousness. This is why it's important to do spiritual work and coaching work, to remember and bring you back to what your real motivation is. And that money and time is definitely part of it, but not necessarily the end result. And you have to heal your desire or admit that you do want time and you do want money for freedom, but also acknowledge that you still care about other people. For a lot of spiritual people, of course, you do need money. For a lot of spiritual people, for a lot of healers, they actually try to bypass this. You've probably been here before. I've been here before where I actually thought that I was better for not wanting money. I put myself above others for saying like, well, I'm spiritual and I don't actually need to do this work for money. And the more I got into this work, the more I saw that that was actually a pretty intense distortion, not only to put myself down and to keep myself hidden and small, but also to reinforce this hierarchy that I am more spiritual than you because of this reason, and I'm better than you, right? And you might experience that in your life as well. And of course, there's also just the reality of now where I'm at, understanding that including money, including wealth in my spiritual work has allowed me to not only do much deeper work with people and actually see results in their lives, but affect way more people than I ever could have, not including money in my work. That being said, for a lot of spiritual people, you at least realize at some point that you do, in fact, need money. So we're not bypassing that is true and that exists here. But what is more motivating and what people don't talk about, like most of the time, the rhetoric you hear is more about that piece I just shared, where it's like people are trying to convince healers that you actually do need to make money and that you can, and it can be safe and you don't have to be afraid of selling and all this stuff, right? So there's a lot of talk about that, but what most people don't talk about is the reality that, yes, it's true, we do still need to make money, but our primary motivation is to getting to do our life's work and having our needs met, but also helping other people, also being really passionate about healing our communities and not just ourselves, right? So it's going to include money, but it's got to be bigger than that for our spiritual people, for healers. It's got to be bigger than just money, right? And that's why I like to use the term wealth. It's very different than money by itself. So I remember doing this wealth practice, and I'm going to walk you through that at the end of the podcast here today. I remember doing this wealth check probably like a year and a half ago. And it was part of a practice to just call in and hold more abundance. And the first part of that was actually like, what even is wealth? What does that even mean to me? In my mind, I had always imagined it being equated to money, right? And some of the stereotypical ways and things that we equate with money. Um, so, so for me, like if I would have just thought about what I thought it meant, what I probably would have seen is like a lot of things that we associate with abundance, kind of like royalty, crowns. Not that this is the wrong thing to do, but like I'm just seeing this sort of like archetype or type of person that really is like, oh, I'm wealth consciousness and that's what I teach, right? And they look very royal and they're like surrounded with like gems and money and oftentimes gold and I thought it would have looked again like very like medieval royalty type. And I realized that's not actually what wealth means to me or how I see it. And again, one of the distinctions that I'll make here is though, even though money isn't my primary motivation, I do often equate money to freedom. And freedom is more one of my primary motivations, but it's more about freedom to do what I want to do versus that I can do anything, right? It's more about like the things that my soul really deeply desires to share my soul work, to help lift up and inspire other healers, to show that you can make money teaching spiritual work. It doesn't have to be about how to make money. Your spiritual work doesn't have to be about how to make money. You can make money just teaching spiritual work by itself. I'm primarily motivated with helping to give back to the earth. So, and I am motivated by being seen in my gifts. And that's one of my desires, to be seen in my gifts. Not by everybody. I don't need everybody to see it. It just would feel good to have like really my unique pieces and how I work and the magic that I carry to really be seen more. So that's actually my primary motivation. To me, freedom actually doesn't mean that I get to do anything that I want, but that I get to do exactly what I want. And that is what I want. So when I sat with this question of wealth, right, and I thought it would look like diamonds and high-end furniture and maybe even like designer clothing, that might be how it shows up for you. And that's certainly fine if that's what you drive with. Again, this is going to be unique to you when we actually walk through the process. But I thought that there was a place where, so like, that's not the way that wealth showed up for me. And at first, I thought there was a place where I was like, oh my gosh, is there something I need to heal in myself to be comfortable with like this type of the way like wealth, which if like wealth showed up this way, like, and that doesn't really excite me. Like it almost turns me off. Like, is there something that needs to be healed there? But I realized when I actually sat with it again, that was sort of like my intellect understanding of what money was. And when I actually sat with wealth and what I needed to do to attract wealth, I realized that what my higher self actually knew and understood and was craving was wealth in natural goods, wealth in local good food, wealth. The way wealth looks to me is like access and getting to have like real fabric made from real things, from natural things, from natural materials instead of plastic, real bowls, handmade, real sheepskin, not plastic fabricated sheepskin, homemade gifts. Like this is actually what wealth looks like to me. Wealth looks like bones and feathers and furs, real things. And again, it doesn't have to be what it is for you. This should be what it is for you. It doesn't have to be what mine is either. I just want to share that I had this idea of what I thought it meant to me. And when I actually sat with it, it was quite different. So that was then a year and a half ago, and this is now. And then I was also living in a small apartment. My business was doing fine, but I didn't feel like I had as much wiggle room to really share the kind of work that I wanted to. Like I it was going well and I loved my work in shaman school, but there was more in me, and I wasn't quite ready to share more of the pieces that were in me then. Um, and I also was still, not to put it down, but I was still in a lot of scarcity. And it still comes up for me occasionally, but by and large, the last 6 months for me I've really landed in this place of balance where I'm not in these ups and downs and these big curves in my spiritual business and in my healing practice. So that was then, and this is now. Once I was able to tune into what wealth meant to me and actually start tracking that instead of, the shift came from that I thought I needed money so that I could buy quality foods. Thought I needed more money so that I could be safe to offer different things. And if it didn't work, it would be okay. I thought I needed more money, so that. And instead, what wealth showed me is what I really wanted. So I could actually, again, not bypass money altogether, but actually tune in and focus on what I actually wanted versus how do I get the money to get the things that I want. And those things that I just named, the feathers, the bones, the quality food, like now I am actually surrounded by quality food and have easy access to it. And actually, I'm very often gifted beautiful food. A lot of the food that ends up in my home is just from straight up abundance. Everything from gifts from other people's gardens to overflow of things to access to cheap, locally produced things to our community garden. Even sometimes finding beautiful food that just seems to appear out of nowhere to finding, and purchasing stuff from companies that feel really good that seem to show up out of the blue that I never knew were there and are a beautiful balance of convenience, quality, and price, right? So that is now, after sitting with this wealth practice, another way that has shown up for me is I thought that I needed to do, programs to make money, right? Like I thought I need to do this spiritual work. I need to put out programs so that I can make money. And now this is such a subtle flip, but so powerful. Now I make money offering the work I most love to do in the world, right? So before, where I was like, okay, I have to put out this program. I have to make sure it works. I have to make sure, it stays relevant that I can make money. And in my mind, it was like, and then someday when I have enough money, then I can play around with offering innovative things or things that I want to test or things that I really want to do, like really, really want to do that's like different. But I'm scared to do it right now because I don't know if it would support me or make any money, right? So I went from I need to do programs to make money to now I make money offering the work I love to do the most. And also, added benefit, the sort of selling part of the process feels really natural to me now. Then it was still felt kind of uncomfortable and I was sometimes clunky, and finding that balance of like, not just being like, oh, it's over here. If you ever want it, just let me know. But also not being like, the hard seller, do you want to do scarcity? Like, here are the things you have to do and you have to sign up really fast. And like, what are your pain points? Blah, 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 blah. Right. So I really found the balance of like, there's still accountability and there's still an invitation. Like, I understand that, being really kind of laissez-faire with the programs that I offer with people who are a match for them isn't supporting them. It doesn't help them to be like, well, just whenever you're ready, let me know. But but it just feels there's just not as much intensity for me. It feels a lot more natural. And really it's because what's shifted for me, it's partly because I've learned how to do it better, but more so it's because I actually care about what I'm doing. Like I really love it and I really see how it benefits people and how it can benefit the right people. So for me, it doesn't feel like selling anymore. It actually just feels like inviting. Like, actually, you are here at this point in your life, and this thing that I offer would really help you. And would you like to come? I can see how it's a match for you. Right. So that's such a beautiful shift to have. Another shift around the from money to wealth piece is I wanted more money for like art and to have nice things in my home. And and now my what I would call like my sacred objects, whether that's art or whether that's like a spiritual object, um, they are very often acquired as hand-me-downs. Like I'm not actually purchasing them, I'm being gifted them by other spiritual leaders, or from clients or friends that are coming in. Um, it might also look like for me, sometimes it is actually purchasing something, but it feels really good because I'm getting it directly from that seller, directly from that local person, directly from that artist, directly from the hand that made it, right? Or I'm purchasing something from a very special place, when I'm traveling, or when I've met somebody that creates something from their own hands, right? So, um, that was always important to me because, again, for me, like those, what actually lights me up are gifts from the natural world when the earth drops off gifts for me. So that shifted again from like, oh, I need to make money so that I can purchase these things that are required for my spiritual practice, to like, actually, the earth is just dropping them off at my doorstep, or the great community is actually bringing them to me. Right. And, nowadays it's so easy to like buy the lookalike things that are fabricated. And I'm not saying that everything I have is all natural, that I never buy anything on Amazon, or that, nothing I have is ever mass produced by any means. But, it's really easy to just like buy this thing that mimics the real thing. Or same thing with money. It's people will buy things to make it look like they have money, right? To give the appearance of what they think wealth should look like, or even just buying things that look spiritual and hope that it attracts the people that you want in your life. And again, that's fine if that's part of your journey and what you actually desire. But of course, please remember that there are still real things, and there are still people who are working with the real things. And there's still such thing as simplicity, and that expense does not equal quality, and that objects are not the same as embodiment. Anyway, with that all being said, I want to share with you, I want to walk you through two parts of this practice. First of all, I want to share with you 3 shifts that you can make right now to move yourself from scarcity to wealth. So I love this place of understanding that sometimes, like, I like the term slow healing, and understanding that things will unfold. I like the slow process of bringing a vision to life. But I also understand that you can make shifts really fast. And so for me, it's not an either or, it's that both are great. So here are 3 shifts you can make right now to move yourself from scarcity to wealth. And then I'm going to give you a prompt for the wealth practice that I used that allowed me to make all of these shifts in a year and a half. So, so the scarcity, here's one of the pieces that you might be experiencing in your mindset. And it can sound like, I have to make a sale. I need to make a sale right now. I need to get a client right now. So that is the scarcity version, right? And this comes from, right, when we're feeling tight on money. That's just all it is, right? And those moments do happen. So what I like to do, if those moments come up for me, if there's just the reality of like, actually, I just need money right now, is I focus on the simplest, easiest way to make a sale, instead of, oh, I need to make money right now, so now I need to like create a whole new program and figure out how to launch a new program. And then that's going to be like 3 months from now, and blah, 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 what do I do? Actually stopping any of the moves and, the next bigger moves that I want to do in my business, and coming back to like, what is the simplest way for me to make a sale right now? Maybe I even scan like, who is the person that has been courting this work and feels like the timing is actually a yes, and maybe just needs an invitation, right? So that's the way it can show up. And that's one thing, action thing you can do to shift it. So the scarcity version of that is, I need to make a sale right now. The wealth version of that is, yes, and call it in over the long term, call in sales over the long term, and trust it. Trust that you will make sales over the long term. It's a big shift from like, where's my next one coming from, to this affirmation that I'm going to give you, which is, my business grows every day. Every day I attract clients for years to come. Where we move from scarcity to wealth is as you're going about your day, as you're going about your practice, as you're networking or talking to people, or however whatever process you use to bring people into your business. Knowing that while you're doing that, you are setting up future clients. You are calling in long-term wealth in your business. Yes, sometimes you just need to make a sale right now, but calling in the long term is way more powerful and is going to serve you and your clients in much better ways. And I noticed for me, what was happening around where I would get frustrated or have trouble shifting is I didn't realize early on in my business, this is what I was doing, that I was actually setting myself up for years to come, that I was calling in people years before they would actually show up sometimes. And so when I didn't realize that was happening, it could put me into a place of frustration where it's like, oh, you're showing up, you're saying all of the things about how you want this, and it's still not a yes. And I started to realize, that's because I'm actually calling them in ahead of time. And it's not that it's a no, it's that they're not there yet. It's not a yes right now. So again, well, all I had to do here is realize that that was happening, that actually I was setting myself up for years to come for future times. And now I'm in that time where people that I spoke to years ago that were a not now are actually coming back and finding me and being like, okay, I'm ready. Right. So when you're in those moments, calm yourself. Remind yourself that it's okay that you do that. Just know that that's what's happening. Right. And come back to that affirmation. My business grows every day. Every day I attract clients for years to come. Mm-hmm. So number 2, the one I want to share with you, this is the way the scarcity will sound. It can sound like, I have to keep what I have. I have to keep what I have. That can be applied to client numbers. It can be applied to business. It can be applied to partnership. It can be applied to your home. It can be applied to hoarding sacred objects, food, jewelry, you name it. And really the energy of the scarcity thought comes down to like hoarding, right? Like I have to hold on to what I have to stay safe. The wealth version of what this looks like is, of course, moving things out, gifting sacred objects to other people, or letting people gift sacred objects to you, sharing from a place of abundance. Now, I will name here, be careful, of course, because you want to watch out for people pleasing. And you definitely want to watch out for, like, this is where I see this practice with like tithing, where people give when they don't actually have stuff to give, with hoping that the favor will be returned. And just understand that is not how this practice actually works. It actually works from when you see that you're safe and you have what you need for at least for the immediate time. And so you can give to others in a way that actually makes you happy and feels like overflow. So if you are struggling for survival, like if you're struggling for, just getting your rent paid or getting food on the table, I don't mean you can never give anybody a gift, but be careful that you don't think, or that you don't try to give things away with this expectation that that's how you'll get something back in return. It's a people-pleasing habit, and it is a habit that is sourced from resentment, or will turn into resentment, because it's just not genuine. It has this energy of, well, I need you to give it back to me eventually, right? So it's just not clean. So just watch out for that. That being said, though, when you do get to the spot where you can give from overflow and can give for abundance, it gets really fun. And it's going to look different for different people at different levels of where you feel like the overflow actually comes in. But for me, what I recommend is just focusing on, like, do I have what I need for the immediate time? And does this feel clean? And does this excite me to give? Right. Financial advisor Rob Candell used to always say, and I love the phrase, he says, money loves to party. Right. So if you're in a phase where you actually can shift into abundance, maybe your money isn't actually changing, but you can shift into this abundance mindset. You can shift into seeing and realizing how you already have wealth And in that way, when you make that shift, more comes in. Like it does attract more money. And so with this place of, giving, and especially for spiritual business owners or spiritual people, for me, it's definitely like gifting sacred objects. When the earth gives me a gift, like if a feather lands on the sidewalk in front of me, usually, of course, the first thing I'm going to check is like, is this a gift? Is this for me? Or is this a feather I'm passing and somebody else is supposed to pick it up? The next thing I do is I watch, like, because sometimes sacred objects come into your life and they'll be a tool for you for a while. And then it's time to give it to someone else. And you'll know when they come into your home, or know when you meet, you're like, actually, this is actually for you now. So I feel like that's really related to this concept of like money likes to party. Same thing, money works the same way, where when it comes in, it wants to be used. It wants to be spent. Whether that's giving a gift to yourself, whether that's giving gifts to other people. And there is a place where, of course, watch the place where you don't hold any money for yourself. Like, so this is the flip side. Like there's hoarding, but then there's like also it's evil twin, which is like not being able to hold anything for yourself. So that can look like not spending money on yourself, not feeling comfortable with indulging in things for yourself. That can also look like never having savings, right? So it's sort of this other version. So if that's where you are, then how can you make creating a savings feel like a party? How can you make that feel like the money is actually moving? This is what the essence of this all comes down to, is actually movement, the movement of resources versus either the holding or the pushing away of resources. So if you're in this place where it's time to save, like, how can you make it feel like a party? How do you make it fun? Because money loves to party, money loves to move. Abundance loves to move. Wealth loves to move. So again, coming back to that scarcity, if you find yourself in the mindset of like, oh, I have to keep what I have, move into gifting, seeing where you actually have what you need and then some, and that you have overflow, making that mindset shift. And you can use the affirmation, abundance loves to move through me. So the third one is the scarcity thought. The way it's going to show up is can look like competition. It can sound like everybody's doing this. Everybody's a sound healer now. Everybody's a shaman now. Like everybody's teaching wealth practices now. It can sound like that. It can sound like, how can I compete? How do I compete with this? So of course, that's the scarcity mindset of it. The wealth mindset is a simple shift as well. This is a powerful one. So listen up. It's more practitioners doing similar work to you doesn't actually mean more competition. It means there's more opportunity to innovate and specialize. It means now there are so many people in the industry that you're in that you get to specialize in exactly what you do and exactly what you love. And that means there's more opportunity for people to ask for exactly what they want too. And again, this is a shift that's simple but powerful. And when you get it, everything changes. Everything changes, because this is, again, where we get to innovate, where we get to offer what we really want to do and what is really unique to us and the people we're going to serve. And for me, again, that shift looked like, well, this is the safe thing to offer, to like, this is what I really want to do. And you know what? It turns out people do want it. And that whole time I was missing it. I was in the scarcity. I thought that I had to present things in a certain way and that I had to have so much money before I could take a chance on something that really was important to me. And I don't want to say like everything that I've done in my spiritual business has been important to me. So I don't want to paint a picture like I'd felt like I had to do it, because that's not true. It's just, I knew there was more for me. So when you have more practitioners growing in an industry, it isn't about competition. What that actually means is that there are more people that are being supported in the work that they do. That means that this industry is wanted. And that's where we can see like, actually, this is an opportunity to innovate, to do something new or especially unique to you. instead of like having to stay really broad. So it's super exciting. And so the affirmation I want to give you here is my specialization is needed and desired. My specialization is needed and desired. Super fun. It's totally going to open things up for you. So the invitation for the wealth practice for you is to take some time. I'll give you a couple prompts, but take some time. It doesn't have to be really long, but if you can give yourself more time, or at least like 20 to 30 minutes to, really calm yourself and get yourself centered and present and have no distractions or minimal distractions. Whether you meditate or like to have a ritual for you to kind of get into this nice mindset where you can read energy and sit with spirit, do that. And so the invitation is for you to invite in wealth. Invite it in. It might be helpful to even imagine a room and have yourself in that room. Go ahead and decorate the room, make it feel cool and fun for you. It doesn't just have to be this like black box with like a old 1980s wooden table in it, right? Make this pretty room. And then behind the door, invite wealth to come in. And when it does, take a moment to actually see what that looks like. Instead of what you think it is, how does it actually show up? Another way you could do this actually is have you coming in embodying wealth and see what that looks like, right? Again, for me, I thought that when I like called myself in embodying wealth, that I would be like coming in with like this crown and like diamonds and shit. And it wasn't. It was very much who I am. It was feathers and bones and real fabric, right? So that shift helped me change all of these things in my life and business and move into like really experiencing wealth on lots of different levels. And then once you invite it in, you can play with it a little bit, see how it likes to interact, see how it likes to show up, ask it questions, get information from it. If it comes in and you notice that you have like you're repelling it or you feel discomfort around it, then you can inquire there. Then you can look into, okay, what is happening here? And is this a place where there's something that I need to heal in me? Or is this a place where there's a higher version of wealth and what that looks like that is more aligned with who I am? And then I can work on attracting that. And when you do this practice, or if anything has resonated with you today, I would love, love, love for you to come into the Leading with Spirit private Facebook group. If you're not in there already, if you are, please come in. I'll be sharing a prompt. I would love to hear what you find in this experience. This is a great opportunity for us to share and learn with each other, and a great opportunity for you to actually just name and call in what this is for you so you can attract it in your life. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have you been hearing the call to expand your spiritual gifts and step into your next level of conscious leadership? If you're a coach, healer, or a spiritual leader, you can learn more about Shaman School and growing your spiritual business on our website, HoltonHealingArts.com, or send me a DM at Holton Healing Arts. Welcome to today's Member Query episode, where we explore questions about spiritual paths, intuitive gifts, growing a spiritual business, and shamanism. Do you have a question for us? Send us a DM at Holton Healing Arts. This question is from Aloria, and she asks, what were the steps that I took to succeed in my business? And the first most important step, of course, is proper training, and ideally, very serious training. You can certainly make progress and build a business on something that you learn in a short period of time. And generally, I find that people struggle really bringing it forward if they've learned something over the course of the weekend or through a self-study course. And the main reason for this is that type of learning is missing the opportunity to develop your unique skills in that area, and also to develop confidence with working with clients. So right off the bat, if you're struggling really bringing your business forward, there's a very good chance that initial piece is missing for you. From there, I would say the next place that really helped me was getting clear and moving through the permission blocks of what I was really meant to do, what I am really meant to do, and seeing where I'm either avoiding it or holding myself back. So there was definitely some inner work there around really connecting to not just my higher purpose, but the specifics of what I'm here to teach and share, and then where I'm blocking myself. So there was training, there was inner work, and then the third part that helped me succeed in my business, which the first two pieces were the prerequisite for, was loving what I do and being really confident in it, and also really believing in the results that you can get. When you really reach that place where you believe in what you do, when you've seen how it affects people, when you see the clear results that it provides other people, it's really hard to not want to talk about it all the time. And when you're excited and you're feeling that confidence and that passion, that means you'll just be talking about it more. And this is one of the biggest steps for succeeding in your business, is actually talking about it, talking about what you do so people know what you do, talking about who it can help and what it can help them with, and talking about the results that you get people. Some of that is a little bit more 3D oriented than the first two parts that I talked about, but it is extremely important. And again, when you feel confident with your experience and your training and the results that you get people, the next step in succeeding in your business actually comes very easily.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leading with Spirit. If you did, please share the link for this episode with your biggest takeaway, tagging me at Holton Healing Arts. It would also support me if you subscribed and left a rating and review of the show, so we can support more people living their highest purpose. Until next time, journey on.